So, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with Rodrigo today. I'm just so enthusiastic for this conversation. So, thank you for accepting and taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So, before we explore all the wisdoms and the practices you offer to the world, I would just appreciate maybe landing or grounding practice that you appreciate so everybody, including me, can be even more present and grounded with us.
Yeah, I gotta do that. Let me just put some music on first.
Yeah.
I like grounding with music.
Cool.
So I would like to invite everyone to have a soft gaze. If it feels comfortable for you, close your eyes. Just or have a soft gaze and let's start paying attention on how we feel right now. Scanning the body to see if there any strains and discomfort. Observing your sensations right now. It can be either a physical or emotional sensation. And non-judgmentally just observe it. How is it to be you today? Now I would like to invite the breath in. Let's play with the breath a little bit. If it's comfortable for you, you can start keep inhaling through the nose. Feel the lungs of air. And a long and soft exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. Keep on with this pattern. Inhale through the nose. And then soft exhale through the mouth. And now with each exhalation, soften yourself a little bit further. Inhale. Start by softening the shoulders. Soften the muscles between your eyebrows. Soften your eyes. Soften behind the eyes. Now let's have a little sigh. Inhale, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale with a little sigh. Beautiful. I invite you to open your eyes, let the light in. Greet the world we are in. Look around. Notice how you feel and have a smile on your face. Lovely. Land on yourself. And let's take this time to be grateful for what we have and where we are. In a non-spiritual bypassing way, just observe how perfect everything is, truly is. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I look for on every Tuesday's class, to be here and hear your subtle and powerful cues, just like behind your eyes, relax it even more. Yummy. Yeah. Thank you. And you touched on just this sentence that I often hear you say on the classes. So for everybody, I follow Rodrigo's classes on the Accessible Yoga online studio every Tuesday, and it's just a pleasure. And this is where I discovered your work and your approach to yoga as well. And sometimes I hear you say, like, how is it to be you today? Like a central intention or a central gaze, really, like whatever happens around the space or the space within, how is it really to savor, to sometimes be in the discomfort? I don't know,
Yeah,
like what's here? How is it to be you today? I really resonate with this question. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we change so often, right?
Hmm.
I am like I don't know, 200 different persons every day.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious, I am peaceful, I am, worried, I am
Hmm.
angry, I am hungry, I am easygoing. So, it's good to for you to break the narrative of your day and,
Hmm.
have like a 3 to 5 deep inhales and long exhales and
Hmm.
truly check in with yourself. It's a good way to self-regulate if you
Hmm.
feel that you're like, oops, Rodrigo, where are you? You're
Hmm.
thinking a little bit too much about it, right? Come back here.
Hmm.
Like it's always I see a good way to bring me back. Sometimes I go places that, you know, I spend a lot of time there. So like, come on.
Hmm. Yeah, like in the clouds, like you in the
Yeah, yeah,
spaciousness, like
yeah.
yeah.
It's too
Mm,
much. Come back. Stay here a
mm,
little bit.
yeah. Yeah, just a tiny bit, just enough to know that you just got away and like right now you have the
Mhm.
ability to be back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, great reminder. And I'm just curious, what is there in the potentiality of being here for you? Like, what does it bring into your life to be aware, to be present, to be conscious, really?
I think one of the most important things that I bring myself here often, not as often as I would like to, is because like you stop changing the channels,
Mm,
right? You're changing the channels all the time.
mm,
You're comparing yourself all the time. Life is not good
mm,
enough. You want to do more. You want to be more productive. You want to have more. You want to
mm,
be good looking.
mm,
You want to be clever. You want to seem like you are clever. You know, it's just you want to make money. You want to get more followers. You want so many things. And when you bring yourself back, you realize that you don't need anything. You've got everything you
mm,
want. You know,
mm,
it's safe. There is no one to compare with.
mm,
There is nothing that is oppressing you or forcing you to do stuff. When you
mm,
are on yourself, you are good enough,
mm, mm.
right?
Yeah.
You don't need anything else.
Mm,
You're whole, you're complete.
mm.
The problem is it's so hard to be there,
Yeah.
because it's so easy to get distracted. And
Mm,
to be functional in a world we live in, we need the ego as well. So you need to always go back there.
mm,
But we need to remember that, there is a place that is accessible to you, you know, and as often as you assess that place,
mm,
you're gonna be satisfied with the person you are,
mm,
you know.
mm,
And that for me is so powerful because you're always intriguing, like, how can I do better? How can I be better? How can I compare less?
mm,
How can I serve?
mm,
How can I live more in my heart and less in my mind?
mm.
The mind is intellectualizing everything all the time.
Yeah.
I want to live, with the filter of compassion, love, kindness.
Mm,
I need to live through the heart, not through the
mm,
mind. And every time I bring myself in, I am right there.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's a way for you to just
So
maybe lower the intention instead of
yeah,
being right up in the mind and like the conditioned mind, really
yeah,
always trying to reach for something else or someone else or even the best version of ourselves or whatever. It's like, hey, remember there's anything to pursue It's always here if you just pay attention to your heart. And behind heart, I can also hear like values, like when you said, how do you serve? It's like, hey, what are my values, my ethics in life, and how can I embody them, right?
Otherwise, if you stay in your mind, it's like the channels are always changing.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you were just in the loop
Yeah.
of producing.
Yeah.
You
Your
get
service is something that you're not aware of.
you get in that unsustainable cycle of consuming, producing, consuming, producing, consuming, producing.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Definitely.
That's not fun.
Yeah. Not really human, right? Not really alive. Like, where's the
Yeah,
aliveness in
it's
all of
like,
that?
come on, you
Yeah.
don't want to do that. No, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the scientifical perception of the body, like we are a machine, we are mechanisms, and that's it. And I'm like, well, we are also, many parts and many strategies and I don't know, like emotions and movement and textures. And there's so much more than this aspect of, just doing and receiving and capitalism, really, which I mean, isn't really bad in itself. Like there's nothing bad or wrong, but it's just like the way we use it in a systemic level, we forget ourselves on the way so easily. As you said, like we just got distracted, and system made it so easy. I mean, look at your phone. Every 30 seconds it's like, oh, I've got a friend, well, let's go there. I'm not with myself anymore. So easy.
It's very easy, Lisa.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, so easy. And
Yeah.
yeah, so going back and bringing yourself back, it's for me, it's a very valuable skill to have, which I am learning, right? I am far from where I would think would be ideal to be, It's just as I told you, I let myself go so often, it's just the way it is.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And like whenever you see it, whenever you notice it, like you've done the work, right?
Yeah.
Like there are also myths and legends around meditation and yoga, like you're gonna quiet the mind. I'm like, hey, as long as the mind isn't quiet, it means that you're alive. So it's a good sign. Like, please don't die during my class. It's just like it's okay to have thoughts and but the point is that, as you said, when they become automatic and you just repeat the same narratives and you fall into the same loops because you don't see them, you're just absorbed by something else, you're outside of it. But whenever you just make the effort, because it's really a practice and an endless one, right? Like it's a practice, a daily one. And I saw, like I spent maybe 20 minutes not knowing what I was doing. I wasn't here. And maybe you judge yourself, that's fine. Like, I mean, okay, that's where I'm at.
And if you want to do that, if you want to spend 20 minutes thinking about something or doing something that you might see, that is not really something that you like to do, at least do it consciously, right?
Yeah.
You're going to fuck it up now, but it's like, let's do it consciously at least.
Yeah, the consciousness, which is yoga, right? I assume that we share the same kind of perspective on yoga, which can be very often associated with the postures themselves that are beneficial, of course. And yet, it is not the entire, it's not it, like yoga isn't the postures. And that's also why I really appreciated your classes and just making it accessible and transforming the vision around what an asana can look like, but also can feel like. And I'm just curious for maybe the listeners or people watching us on YouTube, what does it mean to be accessible for you? Like to make yoga accessible, what does it mean for you?
To make yoga accessible, it means that, folks has access to, assess that place that we're talking about, and be comfortable in whatever body they have, right? Is for me making the practice accessible to them. It can be from, for anybody really, with any kind of body. And when I talk about accessibility, I mean like, you know, in the asanas, right? I try to create variations to make the posture accessible to the body that's in front of me, but also like accessible psychologically speaking, right? You know, trauma-informed classes, like, you know, make sure you hold space for people be themselves, you know, a safe environment, right? That is also accessible yoga. Accessible like financially, right? When you teach, you offer slide scales, you know, if you teach a marginalized group like I do, you know, so you create like scholarships, you teach pro bono classes, like, you know, accessible, the word accessibility has a whole full spectrum of different things, but when it comes to yoga, these are the main points, you know.
Beautiful. I love the many layers around it, because I can imagine that sometimes it is seen as like making it too easy or reducing the teachings. For example, you talked about the psychology, or we can do psychoeducation accessible, but not erasing parts of psychology. It's not about just reducing the depth of the teachings. It's how do you translating or offer it in a way that anyone can have a tiny bit of it and maybe embody it in their lives as well. It's not only, you know, having a high intensity spiritual awakening and then what do we do with that? Like, what's the real life around yoga as well? So I appreciate that it's really concrete and also fair in a social justice perspective as well. So
I well,
appreciate that.
we gotta be right. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
And how hard it is as well. Like it's in the yoga world, it can be difficult to, you know, niche down and have find a place where you as a teacher feel safe enough to offer a safe container, as you said. And it's a challenging in and of itself. Like before being teachers, we also are humans. So it's also about self-care. You have it on your website, like yoga is about self-care and not in a very trendy, like buy this essential oil way. It's like really taking care of yourself or your many selves. Like, and I'm just curious, how do you do that? How is self-care being practiced into your life? Maybe right now, you know, it can be changing, as you said.
Right now, good question, Elisa. Right now, there is I was running a nonprofit in Brazil, right? I live in Brazil a few months a year. I was running a nonprofit there a few months ago, and you know, I had like an issue with some folks that, you know, used to run the nonprofit with me, and it gave me a lot of insights, you know, about people. So and I learned a lot from it. And one thing that I am like practicing right now, you know, every day, trying to be conscious about is boundaries.
Yay.
You know?
Cool. Tell me about that. How is it going?
I am trying to be aware of how do I feel when I am surrounded some people.
Yeah.
You know. And being aware, I will then act on it already at the beginning. I will kind of guide myself into health relationships. Can be romantic, can be work, can be with my neighbor. You know, I want to be aware and start setting boundaries for myself. You know, when I see that things could be said or could be done in a different way, and I just let it go because I let it go. That's for me. It's challenging, you know, because I'm not like that. It's very challenging. I am the yes person. I avoid conflict, and I'm Gemini, and I
Oh,
have
you too. I knew it. Wonderful.
and I am like, I have so many different personalities, but all of them sometimes, they have one point in common that's like, oh, Rodrigo, peace of mind is better than being right. And it's like you avoid conflict with that. And I found it to be not very healthy. So, self-care for me is like, setting boundaries for myself. Right now, it is. And that is a
Wow.
huge thing in my life to learn.
Yeah, it's challenging. Like it's a new pattern, a new way of being and acting from the sensations that you feel like, oh, is this relationship, whatever kind of is nurturing for me, or am I like self-abandoning into the bond, like to be the good guy or the kind or, like the peaceful person and to be appreciated, which is the core need of all of us. So yeah,
It's
I'm
hard.
onto your club. I feel you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so challenging, right?
it is hard because you need to learn how to say no, and you need to speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
It's- and anyway, I am yeah, it's my learning curve these days.
Yeah, yeah, that's your journey. The journey you're on these days. Well, I'm kind of yeah, I feel not reassured, that's not the term, but I feel compassionate for you at the moment to heal that, to heal like the strategies that maybe you found through your history and now realizing, oh, this model isn't working anymore for me, and I want to use yoga, to use consciousness, awareness, and spending time with me to assess and to take actions. And as you said, maybe saying no, maybe removing things or moving apartment or whatever is it, like
Yeah,
how is it to be me in this situation, right? And if it's right, fantastic, I'm grateful. And if it's not, I'm
yeah,
grateful, but I'm changing. So that's the
exactly.
power of doing yoga on and off the mat to
Yeah.
me. So
And coming back to the things we were discussing, it's the action of bringing yourself back, because you will only realize how you feel, this sense of awareness. You feel back on yourself. If
yeah.
you adjust the channels, you feel out there,
Mm,
be in the same relationship for 10 years.
yeah, definitely,
You're gonna be
definitely.
running the same thing for 10 years, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna live a very stressful life,
Mm.
for like 10 years.
Mm.
Hang on a minute. I actually don't like this work. Why am I still doing it?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't
Mm.
want this person anymore. It's like, oh, this person makes me feel dysregulated. Why am I still hanging out with them? It's just
Mm.
like, so it's
Mm. As
anyway.
long you don't know, you don't know. Like it's it's like the Maya veils, like the philosophy of yoga invites us as well to just have a look, like, hey, is there anything that you're hiding yourself from? Because it's hard as well, like maybe for the job, as you said, like sometimes we need financially for our own safety to just have a bullshit job, like the Americans say, like have just a job to feed yourself and that's it. And even though it's not fulfilling, but you have to. But if you are, I mean, privileged as I can be enough to just choose, like, hey, is it working for me? No. Well, fantastic. Now I have a new horizon for me to explore, and how, whoa, challenging it can be as well to have the choice and to be free to change. It's the unknown, really. So, yeah, yeah, it's a good one, right? I can imagine that yoga helps you on the process, isn't it?
Yeah,
Even in this consciousness aspect, as you said.
yeah.
Mm, mm,
Well, everything is yoga, right?
yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Mm,
So you mentioned practicing on and off the mats. In my
mm,
case, on and off the chair.
yeah.
But like you try to do that, right? You try
Mm,
to incorporate like yoga in your
mm,
day-to-day life.
yeah. Like a compass,
Yeah,
really. Yeah. How is it? I often think about yoga as a way of seeing or a way of perceiving including the veils and the thing that push me away from seeing, right? They are also yoga, but like the unraveling process of life itself, like you said, like, hey, it's been 10 years. Well, maybe it's time for me to do something else. Like, and this moment is golden nuggets, like, wow, that's yoga. That's the moment when you are here in the
Exactly.
felt sense, maybe the
Yeah.
grief also, like, hey, it's hard to realize that I kind of lost time. Maybe yoga tells us as well that it's never the case, that we never lose time, it's just experience. But
Yeah.
still, like, whatever the spectrum of emotions we experience, it can be very, very hard. So yeah, yoga is everywhere, and that's super hopeful and enthusiastic for me, and that's really why I wanted you to be here on the podcast as well, and to have a visibility and a platform, because you mentioned that you were using a wheelchair, and I know it's not something that is super seen online, maybe more and more on, maybe on my app, because I'm following you and other folks, like, I don't know, maybe the app is just filtering life for me, so I have some hope that it's changing, but
Mm.
I'm not quite sure, and I'm just curious about your perspective on that, and the ability and disability aspect of yoga. Like, how do you see that for you?
I see that nowadays, you
Mm,
know, folks see we work on two narratives here, right? There is two
mm,
narratives, two different narratives.
mm,
How society perceives disability, which
mm,
nowadays,
mm.
society perceives disability for folks that are listening to it. It's like I fell from a cliff. I used to climb.
Yeah.
I fell from a cliff like 8 years ago, and I broke my back.
Mm,
And I have a complete spinal cord injury. I am a full-time wheelchair user.
yeah.
So I I noticed from Rodrigo Prior accident and
Yeah.
Rodrigo accident that the way society, the way people see me, the way people treat me is very different.
Mm,
Society portrays disability has something really tragic, something really bad,
yeah.
you know.
Mm,
And it is,
yeah.
but it's like life goes on.
Mm,
The human beings are very adaptable species.
yeah.
I was depressed. I was like sad, but I'm a very happy guy. My life
Mm,
is very fulfilled. I am like in love with everything.
mm,
But it's like in the society eyes, I'm not. I don't even have the rights to be happy.
mm,
People treat me like I am either a superhero or I am someone to be pitied. Like
mm,
I see PTIs when I
yeah.
go to, I don't know, to supermarkets, and then
Yeah.
people look and say, oh, because they think that a wheelchair is something very tragic, right?
Mm,
Something really sad, and it's actually not. I
mm,
don't see it like that. So
mm,
the the name, the nomenclature, all right? They say, for example, folks with disabilities, in Spanish is like persona con discapacidad,
sí.
right?
Ouais.
Discapacidad.
Sí. Mm,
Like in Brazil is like, they call them like when you cannot work anymore and you've got a disability, like invalids,
mm, okay.
right? This
Well, invalid.
is able. So
Yeah.
it's like society portrays disability in such a
Mm,
way that fucks you up. You have no life. Sorry for my friends. You have no life anymore.
mm,
Something really bad, something that is broken, something that's not.
mm,
That is disability. In
yeah.
the other way, Western society has portrayed yoga has the search of perfection, let's say.
Yeah.
You go on Instagram and then you type yoga there with a hashtag, and then look at the pictures you're gonna see. It's all like skinny bodies, able bodies, like
Happy all the time, good vibes only, buddies. Yeah.
Yeah, doing like a Sirsasana in front of a waterfall
Yeah.
in Bali.
Of
Yeah.
course. Where else? Yeah, definitely.
It's all perfected. Everything's
Yeah.
perfect.
Mm,
So the big question here it is like how do you make failure,
mm.
disability and perfection, yoga in the Western talk
Yeah,
to each other?
match. Wow. Hmm.
That is hard.
Mm.
That's a hard thing to do. And the approaches that I'm taking is trying to break these two narratives altogether. Is trying
Mm.
to educate people that no, yoga is not about perfection.
Mm.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
and no, disability is not tragic. Disability is not being broken.
Mm.
Disability is not bad.
Mm.
We are
Mm.
not invalid. We're not broken.
Mm.
So that is what I've been working on
Yeah. Like
lately.
deconstructing, that's what I hear as well, like taking the
This
status quo in a
this
way, like,
constructing and
yeah.
constructing,
Mm.
educating,
Mm.
educating, like
Yeah.
breaking patterns,
Mm. Yeah.
you know,
Raising awareness around that. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
protesting, activism,
Yeah.
education,
Mm.
you name it.
Yeah.
Whenever there is an opportunity, I am there.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rodrigo, let's play around a little bit now. Yeah,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I'm very
Yeah.
passionate about it. Anyway, I like to.
Yeah, to agitate the thought patterns and the culture, really, like we built around beliefs and narratives and
to make to make people feel good in the body
mm,
they have.
mm.
What I'm passionate about.
That's what
That
drives you, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I,
Mm.
I I work with folks that has gone through trauma, through loss, through disability. You
Mm.
know, they have gone through spinal cord injury very recently. They broke their necks. They are paralyzed from the
Mm.
neck down. They're
Mm.
paralyzed from the chest down. They are depressed, and to make someone in their bodies again, right? At least
Yeah.
for 5 seconds,
Mm.
and show them that it's a safe place to be, that they're
Mm.
not broken,
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
still life to be lived. You know,
Mm. Mm.
there is still so many things you can enjoy in life.
Mm.
Yoga is the tool that I use. So I
Yeah.
need to make folks with disability knows that yoga is also for them. Yes, we see a lot of perfect bodies out there. Good. Fuck the perfection. Yoga is not only for them, yoga is for fucking everyone.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
This is one thing
Mm.
that I'm passionate about.
To broaden the vision of what a yoga body is about, like whatever that means anyway.
Yeah.
But really, yeah, I love
I don't,
this
e- I
this
don't even
courage.
believe that there is this term yoga body. Like, in Brazil, we get a term that is quite funny as well, because it's always sunny there, right? And
Yeah.
they use the expression like a beach body. And it's like,
Hmm.
what the fuck is beach body, man? It's like, come on. It's like
Yeah.
just go to the beach and have a body, and you got one.
Yeah. Mm.
It's just terms that society invents and to
Yeah.
make us compete with ourselves, with each other,
Mm.
and not being satisfied and
Yeah.
consume.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very anchored strategies that systems have found to just compartment us and to, I don't know, like create bridges between us, but without any way to cross and to meet and to talk and yeah, and see each other. And when you were talking, I was just, I could feel like a little fear, or like I can see my own bias as well, and I'm like, oh yeah, definitely, like whenever I can be faced with someone who maybe has, in French we call it à mobilité réduite, so with reduced mobility, I
Mm,
can just feel like, oh, I'm just projecting right now my own fear of the unknown.
mm,
And there is nothing bad with that, but how can I learn from
yeah,
them or from myself about that? And where is the yoga, the union, the meeting point between this soul embodied in a body, which is whatever they are, and mine? And where is the meeting point in between us? And so profound and so hopeful as well, but very, to me, that's not something that I hear or see a lot, because I don't know, maybe shame, maybe fear, maybe whatever, like cultural biases. And that's so challenging to change the status quo. It's like ages that it's been there. So how do we do that? And when I see the courage and the energy that you invest into it, I'm like, well, keep faith, like it's changing, don't worry. But I'm also curious, like, how can we contribute, like also people with able body, and I'm just using, fingers, like quote unquote able body for folks listening, like how can we contribute also to the changing landscape of yoga and the meeting point itself, if you have any idea, or I don't know.
Well, one thing I would ask you to,
Mm,
well, we are both yoga teachers, right?
mm,
So shall we talk as yoga teachers?
definitely, with pleasure.
Right. So the first thing I would love for you
Mm,
to have a look around in your
yeah.
class
Yeah.
and see the demography of
Yeah.
the folks you are teaching.
Yeah.
Are they middle class?
Mm,
Are they white? Are they
mm,
where do they live? What do they do?
yeah.
You know,
Mm,
and, the answer is right there. And you know, ask yourself,
mm,
right? Uh, well, I don't think this is really accessible, you know,
mm, yeah.
right? I think I'm gonna change this and
Mm,
start to have a look around, right?
mm,
There is like 1 billion folks living with disabilities,
mm, mm,
and
mm,
everywhere and every neighborhood you
mm,
can find a community center.
yeah.
In every city there is a rehab center. You know,
Mm,
there are nonprofits.
yeah.
Like, consider offering at least one class a week to this
Mm,
population.
yeah.
You know,
To broaden the audience, like not to
yeah,
keep it for a certain type of folks and people. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
go and teach yoga and halfway houses
Yeah.
and
Mm,
and rehabilitation centers.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
do
yeah.
like I don't know. You mentioned the other time to keep the lights on, right? We need to keep
Mm,
lights on. We need to
mm,
work, right?
mm, yeah.
But like, do karma yoga once a week. Just
Mm,
go to your local nonprofit,
yeah.
disability profits in your
Mm,
city. You live in
yeah.
south of France, right?
Yeah, definitely. There are plenty
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Knock the door, and
Mm, yeah.
deliver a flyer with your name on it, and give
Mm,
one class pro bono a week,
yeah.
and they start serving this population, right?
Mm, yeah. And also for other yoga teachers listening, maybe if you've never done that and you're curious, like it's also a learning process, or an unlearning and then a rebuilding, as you said. I appreciated
Yeah,
that as well. Deconstructing, and then what can we change it with?
yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
maybe more accessibility. What does it mean for each yoga teacher,
yeah,
and
yeah.
where do they want to start? And maybe it's online, maybe it's
Mhm.
I don't know, like with seated yoga classes. I
Yeah,
don't know, whatever is attractive for you as well, and excites you, and
yeah,
like sparks as well. Like it's not something that you have to do, but if you are interested in it, there are plenty of resources and plenty of teachers that are now maybe more seen as well, and that you can learn from, and
yeah,
that's changing. So it can be very isolating at times when when you're not part of the yoga world the way it is shown most globally. So I mean, I can feel sometimes, like I shared with Jivana Heyman as well in the previous episode, like it can feel very lonely, and that's how technology can reunite us as well and yoga us. So that's a beautiful and powerful tool as well. So yeah,
yeah,
being curious of it, and again, it's yoga to just breathe, like, oh, maybe my classes aren't very accessible, and this is something I would love to, and I'm here, and now how will I navigate the road, and what resources will I bring with me,
yeah,
and how will I will I judge myself, or will I fall into compassion more? Like, it's a journey, it's a process. So
Yeah.
mm,
And Elisa, I would like to say that I am talking about disabled folks because
mm,
it's the population that I represent, right?
definitely. Mm,
But how many Black students do you have?
yeah, yeah, a very few. For myself, a very few.
How
Yeah.
many, how many like students who lives in the outskirts of the city, poor students?
Hmm. Yeah, a
How
few,
many?
but not
You
much.
you
Yeah,
know, you know, you know, this kind of questions,
definitely.
because when we talk about accessibility,
Mm,
accessible yoga is to be accessible, really, truly accessible for everyone.
yeah.
uh,
Mm.
Because it's it sounds really nice when you say, "Oh, yoga is for everyone," but is it really?
Yeah, yeah, it's like the myth itself, and then, but really,
Yeah,
like, how do we
come
do
on.
that really?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, totally.
yeah.
And even like, and we
Come
are
on.
like,
Yeah,
right
let's.
now we are more talking about the physical practice itself, but as we mentioned earlier in the conversation, like, how do we make also the philosophy and the deep teachings, and the also, as you said, like the mental health awareness
Yeah,
accessible as well? And maybe it
yeah,
means wearing a certain type of clothes, like maybe bikinis, because we are not in Brazil, are not the norm as well, like, I don't know, like, how is it that you present yourself, what words are we using to translate and to make teachings accessible? Because yes, we do love the tradition and want to respect it, that's for sure. And
mm,
also, how do we embody it right now? Like, is it that we just live in a cave and meditate like the ancient does? Why not? But if you are a householder or living here now, like, how do we bridge that? So that's also making it accessible, like owning
exactly.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful said, Elisa.
Thank you. Well, I'm learning really, and I appreciate what you said. Like, it's also observing, and I confronted myself. I was like, ooh, like, I have a little space in Albi in the south of France, and yeah, there are many different peoples, but yeah, not many people of colors, maybe not a lot of people with wheelchairs or whatever. I'm like, that's I feel like something is missing me, like something is not fully aligned. And that's when I discovered the accessible yoga movement, really, because it is a movement, and then your work and others. And
Mm,
so that's truthfulness as well, like sitting with it. Like right now, I'm feeling like what I want to preach isn't embodied in my teachings. That's a
mm.
fact. And now how do we do that? And how do we grow from that? So yeah, it's a process. Hmm. But I'm glad that I can attend your classes as well, to have ideas and inspirations, and yeah, and to also see that it's possible, like,
Yeah,
sometimes when you haven't felt it or lived it in your body, it's like, well, but how do these populations feel it and live it? How is it? Like, I don't know. I've never been there.
yeah,
So how is it?
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And maybe, I'm suspect to say, but uh, I go even further
Hmm.
and uh, and say that an accessible yoga teacher, because they need to have these humanity tools to
Hmm.
deal with such a different range of humans,
Hmm.
they became a much better teacher,
Hmm.
which whatever better means, right?
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, but
Hmm.
like they become like a teacher more in tune with like what yoga really is,
Hmm. Hmm.
because you get to that sustainable cycle that there is no hierarchy when you teach this
Hmm.
meditation, because your student is your teacher. You learn so much from your student all the time.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know,
Definitely.
it's not
Hmm.
like you're gonna show up and teach a vinyasa class and it's gonna be the same. You know,
Hmm.
and people you just come and uh, I got into yoga through Bikram when I used to live in London. So I did
Hmm.
Bikram for a long time. So it's like we used to go. I don't even remember the name of the teacher, but do like those 26 poses twice, one and a half. Thanks very much. Had a shower, go back home.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't say this is bad, but it's like, you know,
Mm.
this is what yoga is for most people. And,
Mm.
you know, yoga is much more than that.
Mm.
And for you to be an accessible yoga, to serve whoever is in front of you and
Mm.
learn the tools to serve that person, you know, you're going to be in tune with more what yoga is,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Mm.
You know,
Mm.
and you're going to get into that sustainable cycle that you're going to teach and learn at the same time, right?
Mm. Yeah.
It's like as much as you help yourself, you're helping others. And as much
Mm.
as you're helping others, you're helping yourself.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's beautiful. You know,
Mm.
y- your yoga career have purpose because
Mm.
you're making somebody else's life slightly better,
Yeah.
right? This in
Mm.
this anguished world we live in, right?
Mm.
You are bringing someone back to their bodies and say, hey, this is okay. You
Yeah.
stay here. It's nice here, right? Okay, now you can go. You know,
Yeah.
and they're gonna feel bad about themselves.
Mm.
They're
Yeah.
gonna learn the tools as well. You know,
Mm.
this
Mm.
is the power of yoga. You
Yeah.
know, yoga teaches you self-compassion.
Mm. Yeah.
And with self-compassion, it comes acceptance.
Mm. Yeah.
So for someone who has gone through trauma and disability, or just trauma, any
Mm.
kind of trauma, self-compassion, acceptance is just like the first thing you gotta have.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
we're not here to teach yoga for you know for flexibility or for getting a
Yeah.
six pack or for putting you know my head behind my neck. Come on, yoga is much
Mm.
better than this.
Mm. Yeah. Mm.
You know, so like and that's the way to make yoga accessible to people, make more human, a human
Yeah.
version of what we see today of yoga. And
Yeah.
that process of educating yourself or being open to change, being open
Mm.
for imperfection, you know, and have the humbleness to learn from your students. Or I don't know how to create this variation for your body, but I'm gonna study and then we're gonna explore your body together, your ability
Yeah.
together, you know.
Mm.
The,
Curiosity.
the
Yeah.
way you approach things,
Mm.
you know, it's like you're going to be more in tune with what yoga really is.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Beyond the physical shapes and
Of
dimensions.
course.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm. Mm.
and I
Totally.
tell you something, if you're a yoga teacher, that is where
Mm.
you want to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm. Mm. In yoga, right? And if
Yeah,
you're a fitness teacher, then be in fitness, and that's fine
yeah,
as
of
well.
course.
So
Of
there is
course.
room for everything, but like
There is room for
let's not confuse
everything, for
everything.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, Elisa,
Mm.
I'm not judging anybody here
Mm.
from it, okay? I'm not saying
Mm.
that asanas or performative yoga or
Mm.
flexibility is something wrong. And I'm not jealous of the able-bodied, skinny, you know, six-pack
Mm.
folks. Far from it, but like I get pissed off when they portray yoga like that only
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. In
because
service of yoga.
yeah
Yeah.
because like yoga is much more than this.
Mm, yeah, in service of humanity, really was like a
Yeah,
capital H and
yeah,
whatever color, shape, size, economy,
yeah,
ability, whatever you are from and wherever you are living, it should be and it might be accessible to you, and that's the purpose of yoga itself. So yeah,
yeah,
I love the fire I can feel when you were speaking. I was like, yeah, that's courageous, really. That's honesty, and that's just the truth of what drives you, and I see that, and I appreciate that. So yeah, just thank you for investing your dharma, really your your intention and embodying it, because it can be easy to satisfy our needs as teachers as well by falling into the trap, of the trendy poses and the trendy headstand workshops or whatever. And that's fine, as you said, but it's also like, how do you see and live and perceive yoga, and then how do you make it for others to be seen
yeah,
this way? So
yeah.
yeah, really appreciate that. Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that's I'm just feeling honored, these past few months to have deep conversations like this one around what it is to teach yoga, to be yoga. And that's why I called this podcast Being Yoga instead of doing like 3 times a week or maybe once. Or it's really like a way of being and a way of considering ourselves and into the united humanity, and how far is it from the actual system, and
Yeah.
how revolutionary it is in and of itself, to just have a tiny idea of like, oh, this could be different. That's a revolution in and of itself, like really to just open yourself to change, as you said, or to curiosity of newness. Like, is it really the way? Is it really the only way that we
Yeah.
have to teach yoga? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm not, and that's why I want to broaden the conversation around what yoga and teaching yoga means. So
That's
definitely.
beautiful work, Elisa, you are doing with the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Trying to contribute, as you said, we are humans. We need to contribute really to
Yeah.
participate on the tribe. And well, bad or good, I don't know, but the tribe now is a global one. So
Yeah.
it can be disturbing as well. Like maybe a few centuries ago, we would be just 20 folks, and maybe it's easier, like, okay, everyone has a mission, and that's fine. Like, now it's like when 7 billion is like, where am I, like, who am I, like, how can I serve in the yoga world? And it can be, yeah, it can be huge to face that. So
Yeah.
yeah, also I'm curious, like, about finding your tribe, like community is really important in yoga as well. And I'm curious how it went for you. You mentioned Bikram, and maybe before the accident as well, and so after, how has it been, the process to find other folks in that trajectory?
Yeah. Well, it was like I got into yoga. I was living in London. I moved to London to study theater.
Hmm.
And I used to work as a bartender, and I used to drink a lot.
Hmm.
And I used to DJ over the weekend as well. So I used to have like a rock and roll lifestyle. And then one friend of mine told me, Rodrigo, there is a yoga studio close to your house. You should go there.
Hmm.
Bikram is the name. So I
Yeah.
used to go there. I used to sweat every alcohol I have drunk the week before. I was like, this is amazing.
Hmm.
My skin used to be very red, like the white of
Hmm.
my eye, more
Yeah.
white. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I love yoga. Yoga is perfect. Yoga is the best.
Hmm.
Anyway, I did that for a few years.
Yeah.
I fell in love with a Swedish woman. I moved to
Yeah.
Sweden.
Hmm.
And after 2 years, I was here. I fell from a cliff and
Hmm.
I broke my back, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that I was at the rehabilitation center here, and my physiotherapist, I complained about my physiotherapist about pain and spasticity. And then she showed me an asana. No, she called it stretch. She showed me a stretch that I could pull, flex my knee towards my chest, then hold
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
That I would decrease my spasticity. And then I say, wow, Anna was her name. I say, Anna, this is yoga.
Hmm.
And then she's like, Rodrigo, don't be silly. This is a
Hmm.
stretch. It's no, 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 no. I learned this because this was like the pose number 6 in Bikram. So I knew it was yoga.
Yeah.
And then once she left the room, and then I took my computer beside me, and then I typed like yoga for paraplegics or yoga for wheelchairs, and then I come across a teacher who also has a spinal cord injury, Matthew Sanford. And
Hmm.
then I start studying with him straight away. I got in
Wow.
touch with him like after 2 weeks, my accident happened.
Wow.
And then I
Hmm.
say, like, I wrote in something like, dude, I am fucked up. Like, I'm paralyzed. Like,
Hmm.
I am in the dark night of the soul. Help. I knew that yoga was good before.
Hmm.
And then I thought, I can use the same tools. But yoga for me was the Western yoga,
Yeah.
you know, before.
Yeah.
Before the accident was the Western yoga, yoga for the body. And then after the accident was yoga for the soul,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
because like as I incorporate yoga and mindfulness into my rehabilitation process, going through like a huge amount of trauma, like being paralyzed, like from the chest down, age 33, it's just like it's on the top of the life.
Hmm.
And like, and I was by myself at the time, me and my ex-girlfriend, we broke up. And I was living in an apartment by myself, paralyzed. And I remember that the only time that I was in my body for like a long of a year, a whole year post accident was when I was doing yoga,
Hmm.
was when I
Hmm.
was practicing yoga.
Hmm.
you know, and then came like the self-compassion, the acceptance, you know, that I just mentioned. And, you know, and then I got in touch what yoga really, really, really is, and the power it has, you know. So it's like there is one yoga before accident and another yoga after accident, you know.
Yeah.
And the one that is the after accident is the one that I try to teach, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I incorporate that into my body. You know, I fell in love with it, and I educate myself, and then I start teaching, like, you know, adaptive yoga now for like a few years.
Wow.
But it's something that, you know, I am very privileged to have access to it, you know, and to see representativity, to see someone practice in a wheelchair before.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we need more disabled folks out there practicing yoga, teaching yoga. You know,
Yeah.
we need like diversity in the practice.
Yeah.
We need black folks. You know, we need like, you know, black folks, trans
Yeah.
folks. You know, everyone. You know,
Yeah. Definitely.
because like going back to London times and Bikram, you know, I didn't stop to think back then, but like, you know, I used to go to a class, I was like 30 people inside the class, and everyone was the same. We are
Yeah.
all young, we are
Yeah.
all like healthy, we are all like, you know,
Fit in the standards of what
yeah,
a body should look like. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear a lot of resiliency and hope, and just that's resiliency, really the term that comes to mind, and also thankfulness about this physiotherapist Anna, who just didn't know that it was yoga, but just like, hey, you could try that. Yeah, honey, I know that. Like that's nice as well. You know, just the yoga found you again, or never left you. Really, like yoga never came out of your life. Like it's just changed shape and changed
yeah,
depth, maybe, and meaning, and allowed yourself to just be with yourself, and maybe manage the loneliness and the tremendous amount of pain and grief and just, wow, shock, really, like having such a change moment in your life. Like it's just forever grateful for the practice to follow you wherever you go, however you are feeling. As you said at the very beginning, like, how is it to be you right now,
yeah,
beyond the conditionings, beyond the wants and shoulds, and, well, deep inside, how is it to be you?
yeah.
Yeah. mm. Mm.
I feel so lucky, Elisa. I'm
Mm.
lucky, man, you know, I'm very lucky.
Mm. I can feel that. I can feel the gratitude and just the awe about
Yeah,
life and about
yeah.
whatever adventures. And even though they are painful and challenging, and just, yeah, that's precious to be alive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, you know, shit happens to you, but
Yeah.
the how you go through it,
Mm.
and the tools you use to go through it, like,
Mm.
shapes you into completely another person, you know,
Mm.
and it makes you a better human,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
It takes you to a place that I wouldn't be if I haven't gone through the road I've been through, you know.
Mm.
And it's difficult,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's beautiful.
Mm. Mm.
I
Yeah.
see, I see a lot of beauty in it, you know.
Yeah. The meaning making out of it, and
Mm,
also owning and sitting with the fact that it isn't easy, and
mm.
I don't know, maybe everything happens for a reason or not. I'm not sure that I'm buying into that, but I'm just like, hey, shit happens. And yet, how do we grow from that? And maybe how do we find our own life journey and purpose thanks to that?
How do you find possibility inside that?
Yeah, yeah. That's really trauma resolution, right? It's like, well, we can see really black and white. Like now I'm in the dark night of the soul, like you said, but like the only thing else that you can see is white after, or light, or like the light. You can't go lower. So have faith. Now that you're here, you'll find ways for sure. resources, and you talked about nervous system and pain management as well. It's like, yeah, we have many tools, and thanks to internet as well, and great teachers like yourself, like there are ways. So
Yeah.
maybe the invitation, you know, like whoever is listening, just maybe don't staying with the shit alone. Like we are, you know, community-based primal animals, and
Of
it's just a
course.
need. It's really a core need. So
Yeah.
like just shout out to this teacher that you found 2 weeks after the hit rehab, you know, like it's just such a joy that to hear from me that you found a class, a community that just offer you the possibility to see another way. So yeah, it is so meaningful.
That's why I'm so passionate about, you know, trying to make yoga accessible to this population,
Yeah.
because, you know, I am a living example of it. And,
Mm.
you know, I think we are the one that need yoga the most, you know, has gone
Yeah.
through trauma and disability. And we
Mm.
are the ones that gets
Don't
yoga
have
the
access to it. Yeah. 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 How
so, yeah,
shameful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this is something I gotta change.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, you know, I think I am in half of my life. I'm 41 years old now, right? If I am lucky enough, I'm going to live until 80.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's the average. So, you know, I'm going to change a whole of shit before I'm gone. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this,
Using this precious time to
yeah,
contribute and
yeah,
to
yeah,
serve and to
yeah, 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 yeah,
flip the things upside down. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta, I gotta make sure more folks has access to it, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, and touching about that, and also we're touching the time of the conversation. I'm also curious about the offerings that you are uh, gifting the world with right now, and where people can practice with you, maybe, or what comes up for you in this moment.
Well, I am like right now, I'm developing a course. I have done a course, a master class, uh, a 6 hour master class of how to teach folks with disabilities or yoga
Yeah,
teachers, right?
yeah.
But I had folks from Australia, from New Zealand, you know, saying that's like, oh, I cannot be there, I cannot.
Mm,
So now I am creating like, I have like over 10 hours already. So I am creating a platform where folks will go and educate themselves on demand. So that will possibly be launched in the second semester. So
wow.
so it's like just you can follow me on Alihopa Yoga. Alihopa
Mm,
actually is my favorite Swedish word that means all together. You can follow me
mm,
there, and once the course is launched, if you'd like a scholarship, if you'd like to educate yourself, you know, we
mm.
talk about everything, from how to sequence a class for someone with a wheelchair, you
Yeah.
know, the language to use. We talk about ableism. We talk about inclusive language. We talk
Wow.
about tips, everything, you know,
Mm,
common neurological conditions, you know, trauma-informed teaching. So it's something that, you know, it will truly help you to and guide you, you know, for you
mm,
to serve this population very confidentially, not
mm.
confidentially, but you know, you're gonna be comfortable teaching it, you know.
Yeah, it's complete enough for having like so many tools and visions and understandings as well about
Yeah,
how to do it.
yeah,
Wow, sounds exciting. So cool. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and also on demand. So wherever we are in the world, it's like just click on it and have access to it and
yeah,
serve the world. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
I'm working on that, and I'm
Mm.
working on creating like a holistic, you know, rehabilitation book, kind of,
Mm.
you know, because like when we go through trauma like this, you know, the medical model, they see the body like a car that needs to be fixed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I am trying to create something that, you know, how to rehabilitate yourself back to life, where
Mm.
we incorporate like, you know, somatic experiences or
Wow.
yoga or mindfulness,
Mm.
gratefulness, you know, psychology,
Yeah.
like and into a compile of like a few chapters that someone can, have access to the basic tools, how to breathe, how to be grounded, right? You know, without how to practice asana without muscle activation, for example, how to visit your subtle body, how to be safe in your body,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working on this, but this is gonna take ages because I'm still
It's gonna take the time that you need to take. Yeah, it's
I'm
huge, right?
still
It's a beautiful
I'm still
project.
in the research
Yeah.
I am like in reading a lot of books.
Yeah.
And it will eventually come, but I'm not in a hurry.
Cool. So stay in touch and make sure to follow you. You have a newsletter also, if I saw correctly on your website as well. So of course I will put everything on the show notes for sure, so people can visit, and also your great reels that you create on Instagram, and how to adapt also some asana practices, even in the street and wherever it feels funny for you too. Like, I just appreciate the spontaneity behind it. So yeah, that's sparkling. So thank you for that. I will put it right now as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Elisa.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's been very nurturing for me and humbling as well. So I just feel grateful to have you on the podcast. And just thank you for the time, the energy that I feel, and the courage it takes to change the world and to embody the change that we wish to see in the world. Such a deep journey. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Avec plaisir. And thank you to everyone listening or watching us on YouTube. It's a pleasure also. And educate yourself and find resources to navigate or help others navigate any trauma and difficult moments, in life, or just life itself. Like, let's help each other. And the term that you used all together, Alihopa, right?
Yeah.
And let's be Haliopa, right? So thank you again, Rodrigo, and thank you, everybody, and see you very, very soon for the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.